Hi everyone, my name's Brett Noy. We have bakeries in Brisbane, Australia, doing both wholesale and retail. Retail side of our business is called Uncle Bob's Bakery, and the wholesale side of our business is Creative Crusts Baking Company. We've been in business in Brisbane now, in the same business, same premises for nearly 27 years. I think our main strength before Covid-19 was probably the wholesale side of our business. Retail for the last 12 months had been particularly challenging, and the wholesale side of our business, which supplied restaurants and caterers and delis and cafes, had been growing steadily and had continued to grow, and it was certainly the stronger part of our business. Up until Covid-19, we probably built that on a reputation of consistent quality product, but most importantly, reliability of deliveries. If a chef ordered, specific amounts of product, we made sure that that's exactly what they got, and they got it, 99% of the time when they needed it and in the condition that they needed it. So that played very, very well for the wholesale side of our business. The biggest challenge we faced prior to Covid-19, and I think probably the same for all businesses, is finding the right staff and trying to put together the right team. As I said though, retail had been particularly challenging. The retail market had not been as strong, so that in itself, and we were very much struggling to find answers for that. The wholesale side of things had been much more successful, but certainly our greatest challenge was finding the right people, building the right team that were able to actually work with us and have the right skill set, and be reliable, and I suppose give us all the ingredients we needed to ensure that we were confident enough to move forward with projects, to develop new products, and to take the business in the direction that we felt it needed to go. So definitely trying to find the right skilled team to put together for our production was the greatest challenge that we had pre-COVID-19. How do we overcome that challenge with staff? Look, I think if we're honest, we'd probably say that we don't ever really overcome it. I think we go through periods, like most businesses, where we have periods where we get a really good team together, and what that highlights for us is how much more confident we feel when we've got that right team together, when it's really, really going well, and when you've got people working together in the best interests of not just themselves but the business. Things just flow so much better. They work better. It gives you a confidence as a business owner to be able to move forward in the direction in which you want to head. So it's a matter of trying to identify, after 27 years, we've kind of got a good idea of what we're looking for in people, but it's very, very challenging to find that. It's even more challenging to put them into a team, and they're coming from another business. They're used to doing things quite often in a different way. I know the way that we do things is quite different to many in the market, so that can be quite a challenge, bringing people in and getting them to settle in, and therefore create a settled team. And I think that'll continue to be a challenge into the future. I think that will be an ongoing situation for all businesses, whether it's bakeries, restaurants, cafes, whatever area of hospitality you operate in. That's going to be one of the greatest areas that we will continue to have to work on, and just trying to remain focused on understanding what your team needs and what type of personality will fit best with that, and then trying to match that with an available skill set to make it all come together and work as efficiently and as successfully as possible. I think there's going to be a whole range of things. Certainly, I feel that our wholesale side of our business will take a lot longer to return to normal than our retail. Our retail has actually been quite buoyed. We've been fortunate enough to have remained open during this entire period of COVID-19. We've been one of the more fortunate businesses out there, which has been really great. Continuing to deal with, particularly for restaurants, and why I believe the recovery on our wholesale will be a little longer, is that you can't just expect a restaurant to operate under social distancing and physical distancing regulations when you have a 100-seat restaurant and you can only have 20 people in there at once. The moment if you've been closed, you start to operate again, and you're not running at full capacity, then that makes it very, very difficult to make it justifiable and to keep your costs such that you can create sufficient turnover and provide the right level of service for your customers to make the whole thing actually operate effectively. So that's going to be a very, very big challenge. At this point in time, we will have to continue to focus heavily on the retail side of our business. That is what we have open and operating most effectively at the moment. So our greatest challenge is going to be on the wholesale front and rebuilding that in line with how quickly that's able to come back on. And that will be very much dictated to an extent by government rules and regulations and what our customers, both past and future, will decide to do as a result of trying to work within those restrictions that are put in place. The other issue that comes to mind is that, any business, once they've been closed and they start operating again, and if you have a landlord, then that landlord's going to expect that because you're open that you should be paying rent. And obviously, if you're a 100-seat restaurant with 20 people in there, that's going to be very, very, very difficult to do because you have basic costs that have to be met regardless. So I can see, that not just being a challenge for, the rest of the hospitality industry, but that will certainly play out as a challenge for us. And from our perspective of staffing that and to meet those demands slowly as they come back, and in the time frame, whatever that is, of which they come back. So there's a few challenges there to meet, I think, between now and when restrictions are lifted in their entirety, and it allows everyone to come back into a full spectrum of operation. I think the main change we'll be looking at for 2021 after COVID-19, or probably still during COVID-19, is going to be working out where the market is. What are people looking for? I think there will be some things will return to a level of normality. I don't believe that will happen until such times as there is either a vaccine found or a particular country, through a combination of social distancing and climate and numerous other things that play into keeping this virus at bay. If a state or a country is able to eliminate any sort of growing exposure or new cases, then they may be able to return to some level of normality. In saying that, I think it's going to be a matter of looking at, and monitoring. That's going to be very, very key over the coming months and into 2021, is monitoring, what the market looks like it's doing, following social media, getting an idea, talking to your potential customers and your current customers, what is it doing, what's working, what's not working, following those and communicating with others within your industry, pretty much exactly as we're doing here today, trying to get some ideas on what people are doing and how they're changing things and what part of those things may work for you and your business, and looking at how you can change and adjust to actually meet the demands of whatever that market is and whatever new requirements come with that. A lot has changed. People's buying habits have been forced to change through COVID-19. Many people are cooking more at home. That in itself will change not only what people may purchase from the likes of bakeries and supermarkets, but it will change to an extent what they choose to eat when they go out, when they're not having to cook for themselves. What are they going to want to eat? So there's a whole lot of things that are going to play into this, and I think it's going to be a matter of monitoring, and I'm not sure anyone really knows what that picture is going to look like. It's going to be very much about staying on top of what those what those factors are, what are those clues and behaviours that are coming through what people are seeing on social media. How do you read them, and how do you then incorporate them to factor in, how that can be some sort of benefit or success to your business is going to be probably, the challenge that is in front of all of us. Look, the advice I'd like to share with my colleagues around the world in hospitality is just taking this opportunity, if you have it, if you've been closed or you've been able to operate as we have under a different sort of market and expectation scenario, then every time you talk to people, there's very few people in business, if given the opportunity, if you said to them, look, you could, if you had to change the things in your business you're not happy with, what would you change? And that's, I think a good question to ask, because all of us in business, there are components of the way we operate, how we do things, and aspects of our business that we're just, that challenge us and we're not happy with. If you've got the opportunity now, now's probably the best time to take advantage of that. Change the things that you're not happy with. Look at what was working before, what wasn't working before. If it's time to change out some team members, now that's probably the time to do it. If it's if you have the ability to look at some form of investment into future technology, new technology, now's definitely the time to do that. Look at ways that you can, I suppose, if need be, create situations where you're not as reliant on those things that create challenges. If finding suitably qualified, and skilled tradespeople is difficult, then what sort of technology is available out there that may allow you to work more effectively around that, to work with what is available, because those things don't change overnight. They don't change in a hurry. Some of these things are going to take years to actually fix when it comes to the skill levels of our industries. Those things have developed over time, and they're going to take a lot of time to fix. So right now, while you have the opportunity, whilst things are not, they're normal, then now's the time to look at what you can change and get your business in a situation where it's more fun to run, where it's more rewarding to run, so that you are not trying to battle with as many of those things when you reopen. You can put yourself into a better position. Look at changing a menu. Look at changing, how you can, better, meet those future customer demands. Make your business more agile. Because really this is a time that takes everything off the table. Particularly if you've been closed, you don't have to reopen. Your restaurant or a cafe particularly might visually look the same, but at the end of the day, your menu doesn't have to be the same. So there are things that you may want to look at there. So look very, very closely at what you've been doing. Look at the things that you haven't been happy with, and take this time to make those changes. Develop new ideas and concepts that you may be able to incorporate to take your business to the new level. I think we've got to look at this as an opportunity to improve. We've got to look at this as an opportunity to take our businesses, where we've always wanted them to go, rather than dealing with those day-to-day issues that we had pre-COVID-19. I think all the rules have changed. Everything is on the table to create, a new business, and for that matter, a new life that you are going to be much more excited about and much more engaged with, which ultimately is going to give you hopefully a better business in the longer term. Probably the question I'd like to ask my colleagues around the world is, what are you doing that is going to be different after this also? I'm very keen to hear what others are doing, because that's how I learn. It's how we can learn off one another. These are just the things that we're looking at, the things that we're doing at the moment, and we are very fortunate to be in the situation that we're in, to be able to remain open, and continue to trade has been very, very good for us to, gives us a more first-hand view at what's going on. but for many, they haven't been as fortunate. They've had to fully close down their business. So I'm really intrigued as to what others plan to do once they reopen. What decisions have you made whilst you have been, whilst your business has been closed, or if you have been operating, what changes have you seen? Certainly take the time to give us that feedback, because this really is about all sticking together, learning from one another, identifying the things that are working, and helping one another identify where that market is going to be, through the rest of this year and 2021 and beyond. So I really am excited about hearing what others are doing out there, what their views and success stories or concerns, whatever they may be. I'm really looking forward to hearing what others are doing. So until then, thank you for listening. I wish you the best of health and the best of business success moving forward.